What's going on, y'all? Wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. I don't know why that song by Bone Thugs and Harmony was in my mind. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Anyway, what's going on? It is Sunday. Some call this self-care Sunday. I want to say let Sunday be, if it's self-care Sunday to you now, let Sunday set the tone for you practicing self-care every single day. Self-care is self-love, and self-love is self-care. So if you're not caring for yourself, you're not loving yourself. And if you're not loving yourself, you're not caring for yourself. So as promised, August, I told you I was going to do so many more live videos. And we were going to go over some tools to help you navigate through every single day. I feel like this is extremely important right now. I'm looking at a lot. Every so often, it's always a little loud outside, sometimes planes going by, things of that nature. I think it's so cool that this plant is actually growing on my deck. It's just growing out of the crack all the way up. So it's very symbolic of so much, specifically where I've been thinking regarding just my journey lately. So yes, as promised, I'm live today. Okay, I'm gonna be live a lot more in August. I'm going to be sharing a lot of different tools with you all. Really simple things that you can do each and every day. For some reason, turn this down a little bit. For some reason, wellness, since it's become this billion-dollar industry, which is great, right? But it's been complicated, and we have taken it outside of our control. And so what I do and what I'm here to do and how I live is I go back to the very foundation, which is ourself. So we can use our body, we can use our breath, we can use, the study of ourself, the study of our environment. We can use our food, we can use music, we can use nature, definitely. The sun is a very simple way to really start to just tap into yourself and just find some gratitude for the day. At least for me it is. So, but for the purpose of today, I'm going to talk more about going back to yourself. And I just want to share the concept of discipline. So my last video that I posted about the shadow side of Leo season, I talked about something called tapas, and I wasn't talking about the summertime necessarily being interchangeable with tapas, even though we can look at fiery discipline and heat and those hard to learn lessons as reflective of the summer. Like sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not going outside, it's too hot, like all these excuses not to go into the sun. And then we have all these things that's happened in our world where people don't feel necessarily safe going outside. So that's for a certain number of people, and then there's another number of people that just have to get out into nature, have to do these things, right? So everybody's experienced something different in this season. So what I want to say though, guys, is we're going to talk about discipline, but I definitely want to address this, a lot of the fear that's being pushed out into our world. And so I want to just say, practice acknowledging what's going on around you, yes, right? But really, 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 more than that, check in with what's going on inside of you, okay? So when you see certain things going on in the world, like really take those moments to pause and be like, well, how am I feeling? How am I carrying this weight? Am I carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders? Has this taken me to a point of now feeling like I'm off my center? And really sitting down and figuring out how you can get centered, because you're going to need to be, okay? Because the constant thing that happens in this lifetime is change, right? So out of chaos, we've seen that our world has, I promise not digging up my nose, the pollen is out here, but my nose is itching. Okay, but the constant thing that we see is, there are these chaotic things that happen in our world, and then after the chaos you see the rainbow. So just know that with every down there is an up, okay? And let's try and focus more on that versus the high and then the low. So if we can condition ourselves to actually be able to move through and work through both seasons, and not to expect either. Like, just really start saying, I'm going to go with the flow of whatever life brings, and make sure that I'm centered and I'm balanced in the midst of it all, right? I'm centered and balanced in the midst of everything that's going on inside and outside of me. So today I want to talk about definitely discipline. And I want to say that there's so many things that I have come to discover on my journey, specifically as an entrepreneur and just a woman, a mother, a being, all of these different things, right, that I have been gifted to have to experience. So, but definitely discipline has been something that's been a challenge for me as being self-employed. And what I'm realizing is that the 21-day juicing, I spoke about that, and going to definitely share that video again with me and Fatima. But in any event, the 21-day juicing for me was the icing on the cake. So I had all these people telling me how to get organized, how to do this, how to do that. But what was missing inside of all of this business coaching and these, these moments of advisement was the mindfulness, was the holistic piece. We can't really put anything into practice in a way that's going to benefit ourselves as a whole without that holistic piece. So I just want to really, of course, say thank you again to Healing Vibes for that 21-day juicing challenge. It was definitely the extra push that I needed. And then definitely, starting this program at the Russell Center has been amazing, because one of the things that we have been doing for our sessions, we have an amazing gentleman by the name of Brandon who comes in, who's a part of the program, one of the facilitators as well. And he leads with mindfulness, between him and Jonathan. But they lead with a moment of mindfulness. And I think it's so important to connect all of these things and stop compartmentalizing business and wellness, because it's really toxic to compartmentalize the two. And it can really affect your health. And I believe that that's the reason why a lot of people are having a hard time navigating through change, navigating through challenges and chaos and all of the things that are going on in the outside world, is because we have gotten so used to, many of us have gotten so used to compartmentalizing our well-being and our work, when there is no difference. The two have to go together and need to go together. So today, what I want to do is I want to actually take some time and breathe together, okay? I also have a towel here. So if you are, you're at home, you're chilling, go ahead and grab a towel, okay? Got a yoga strap, you can grab that. But for the purpose of today, we're just going to make this super easily accessible to you. A hand towel is what you will need, okay? And we're going to take a moment and we're just going to stretch some of our upper body and do a brief moment of stillness and meditation. Now tonight, what I am going to do, today, what I am going to do after I do this live, I'm going to head on over to my business page, Akoma Heart Moon Wellness, and I am going to do an actual moment of restorative yoga, okay? And for those of you who do not know, this is a restorative yoga meditation class. Is one of the many classes that are included in the monthly yoga subscription. I'm very intentional about including restorative yoga because it encourages you to rest. It encourages you to slow down, feel, and start to really learn your body. Okay, so you start to really learn your body. You start to be able to decode the messages that your body is sending to you in a slower yoga practice. Okay, and it allows you to also develop your intuition about what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you. So it's very it's a very intense practice. Okay, and not a lot of people can do a restorative yoga practice because in our society, most people are used to something fast. So you want a fast workout, you want a fast flow, you want all the fast. You want to be able to do the sexy poses. You want to be able to, kind of move through it so you don't have to sit with those thoughts. You want to make sure you're burning calories, doing this, doing that. and not really realizing that stretching actually burns a lot of calories. But not only that, it's an act of kind of running away from what's going on with you. So we talked about escapism. Specifically, I did a little short post about the shadows in Leo season, and that's one of the biggest things. Sometimes, our ego puts us in this place of escape as a form of protection, okay? And so we go through these moments of escape, whether it's in our workout, whether it's in our work, whether it's in relationship, family, whether you're supposed to have a pivotal conversation with someone and you just run away, So today, we're going to call this practice, my presence is a present, okay? My presence is a present, all right? And I really want to address that. This morning I had a lot of things come up in my mind, and I don't know if anybody gets these moments where you have these things that might trigger you. And there's two things you can do in the moment when you're triggered. You can react to the trigger, start cussing, doing this, doing that, right? Maybe reach out to the person you're triggered by, or let the person know if they're right in the room with you in a very harsh, going off type of way. Or you can too, and I used to do number one a lot, okay? Happy to say that I've graduated a lot from doing that, and it was a challenge for me. It was a process because I was a very hot-tempered child, okay? So I grew up, I don't know if to call it hot-tempered or just very passionate. So my temper was like up to here, okay? So what I've learned through this practice, though, is not to give away my energy, my time, and disown my power in the moment, okay? By giving someone else the satisfaction of experiencing my anger and my pain through a cuss out or what have you, and being able to then transfer that energy back and forth to each other. Okay, some people feed off of, sometimes dysfunction or hurt and pain feeds off of that type of energy because a person is comfortable there. So the question is, are you comfortable inside of your triggers? Are you comfortable just staying with those and not doing number two, which is pausing? Okay, and it takes discipline to pause, so we're tying even our triggers into discipline, right? So how we handle our triggers has to do with our level of self-discipline and self-control, and we develop that in taking care of ourselves. So it's harder to develop that level of discipline when you don't take care of yourselves, or your needs are not being met by you, right? So you're lashing out and you're looking outside of you for someone else to validate you in that moment. So what else do I want to say? So I was triggered today, but I was triggered because I had a realization that someone had been getting over on me. And this is someone that I don't have the capability to exempt out of my life. We're connected forever in this lifetime. Okay. But I realized the person was, I was triggered because the person I realized somebody had been getting over on me for years. And instead of, I let myself feel the feels. I felt the anger of hey, you've completely been taken advantage of and gaslighted in this situation, even to the present moment. It's just changed. The depth of it has changed. So now what you have to do is actually put into place something that is going to liberate you from someone else getting over on you. So it was good, though. It was a good moment of being triggered, because what I was able to do is I was able to identify the part that I had to play, why I played the part, and why the other person played the part that they played. So I was able to identify why the person hurt me, why I allowed the hurt, and what caused me to be in a situation that was inflicting pain or disregard on me. Okay? So when we pause in the midst of those triggers, we're able to really take an opportunity to do some self-study. We're able to start really going underneath the surface And we're able to see past just the person's behavior. We're able to see our behavior. We are able to see the wounds that we had that may have attracted in that type of person and that behavior. So this is not about freeing someone of responsibility for inflicting any kind of disregard, hurt, pain, or trying to get over on you. This is a realization of the part that we have to play in all of these situations by allowing, enabling, I'm going to say not being fully healed when we get into connections with certain types of people. Okay? So, and sometimes, granted, life is about lessons, so you're not necessarily going to be able to say, I prevent this, I prevent that all the time, because you're still in a process of healing, so you don't really know what else is left to do the work on. And that's the beauty of meeting people. That is actually the way we find forgiveness and how we can find appreciation even for people who have stepped into our lives and caused hurt and pain, because they are now drawing attention to something that we also need to heal within ourselves. So that's how we find the forgiveness for ourselves, and we find the forgiveness for the person. And that takes discipline, and it takes commitment to yourself, commitment to loving and caring for yourself. And so we don't get to that point of realization by just going with emotions, by, even, keeping our soundtrack to one that is constantly breeding us being defensive or going off on folks, right? We have to take some time and tune out certain things. But we'll talk more about that. I really want to stress the discipline part and how I became more disciplined and even working through my triggers is through this practice, through my work. So my work is very much connected to my own healing journey. And yoga to me was something that showed up in my life on again, off again. I didn't realize that as a baby, my uncle used to actually put me in a lotus pose. So that was cool to find out as a grown woman, realizing again that there is never an accident when you start to journey on a certain path and it connects to you. There's always a root to it, right? So if we really pay attention to the unfoldings of our lives, then we can discover our true purpose. Okay, and even our purpose has an extensive view, right? So it's not going to be just that one thing, but at least you can start to discover some of the things you are in this lifetime to do. So the discipline through this practice. When I was younger, I used to do what was called like these walks from Red Hook, Brooklyn to where did I used to walk to Clinton Hill, Brooklyn. And that walk was like maybe over an hour. That was over an hour walk. I don't know how long it was, but definitely was over an hour. But I used to do that walk. I never realized that walk was a meditation. I was doing a moving meditation essentially as a teenager, as a preteen. I was doing a moving meditation, and I didn't realize why I always, even when I had money to take the bus, why I needed to take the bus. Thank you for joining. But why I needed to take that walk, even when I had money to take the bus, because sometimes I didn't have money to take the bus, let's be honest. But there were times that I did, and I chose to walk instead. And I would have my headphones in and maybe some R&B music or whatever kind of music I like listening to. So I just want to tell you guys, there's so many different ways that you can actually introduce a practice of meditation. It doesn't have to be complete silence to start. Yet, I will say this. You want to get yourself to a point of sitting in silence with yourself, because that's where a lot of the things that we have built walls and tucked away are going to start showing up. They're not necessarily going to show up in the music, and sometimes they do show up in a song, right? But you're going to get to the depth of it in silence. And that's why it's so hard for some people to sit in silence with yourself. When I first started, it was very hard for me. I mean, I probably could do like a minute when I started, because my mind was just going. And I had all of these, I had all these things to work through: trauma, sadness, pain, depression, this, that, and the other. All these things were happening mentally, right, emotionally. And it was overwhelming at times to sit with myself. So at times I did like really work a lot with music, song, you know, writing, a lot of journaling, a lot of journaling and writing. So there's so many different ways to get through to this practice, right? You know, these moving meditations through your writing, through your walking, through, you know, cooking, and making sure that you like stop to breathe while you're cooking. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths and just be like, this is what I'm doing right now. You know, I'm present, okay? You ever notice something you make turn out really tasting good? It's because you were disciplined in that moment. You may have followed a recipe or followed your intuition and really just put everything into it. So I could talk for days. But I want to do a brief moment of breathing and meditation. They say it's Self-Care Sunday. I ain't subscribing to that. Self-care is every day. Every day is a day to care for and love yourself. But I am doing this on a Sunday to get those who look for something on a Sunday to listen to or to do, in hopes that this will not only set the tone for your Sunday, it'll set the tone for your everyday. We got to make self-care a way of life, self-love a way of life, because there's so much out there about, you know, how do I attract love? How do I sustain my business? How do I do this? How do I do that? And they're only giving you bits and pieces, okay? How do you live a fulfilled life and have all of those things, right? You have to start with you first, because otherwise you'll always be looking for something or someone to complete you. And that is not possible. The only one that can complete you is you. So that is what this practice is all about, and that is why I wholeheartedly stick to it. So, like I said, Meditate and Restore is one of the classes that is offered in my online monthly subscription. And Meditate and Restore is a pivotal one because we need to rest at the end of the week. Sometimes it's just so hard for us to rest, okay? And we deserve it. Black people, African American people, people of indigenous descent, however you relate to yourself, we deserve to rest. We deserve to rest and restore. We have so much on our plates. There's so many fair narratives being pushed out there. There's so much that's happening in our world. People feel death and transition and change on a different level. And so you need to have something in your toolbox that you always go to get back to you for your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. That's the reality. Nobody can heal you but you. So let's get back to being our own good mothers, own good doctors, y'all, okay? A lot of these practices, these are all indigenous practices. These are things that the indigenous people did, the first people on this planet did to keep themselves well, okay? And unfortunately, there has been a lot of things placed on spiritual practices to scare people away. And so we can't honor that narrative anymore, all right? Because we see that we need to have something stronger, something deeper, something more connected. We see we need to get back home to ourselves. All right, so if you got a towel, go ahead and grab that towel, okay? All right, so I'm not, let me angle my camera a little differently. Hold on, so you can kind of like maybe see all of me. And the sun is like really, really blazing. Let's see, hold on. Give me a moment. See if I can shift a little bit. All right. I don't know if that's a better view. I'm hoping it is. Okay. Told you I got this plant growing on my backyard, my back deck, which is just truly amazing and a blessing. Okay. So symbolic. All right. So you got your hand towel. Okay. Big towel if you don't have a hand towel. All right. Got your water by you. Give you a second to grab some water, stay hydrated. If I get on another Zoom call or something where people don't have water by them, I'm gonna freaking scream. Guys, we gotta get this water in. Dehydration is no joke. I've been there. All right. So you got your towel, okay? We're gonna keep the elbows bent. We're just gonna go side to side. Your spine nice and straight, okay? You're sitting cross-legged or with your legs straight out, however feels good to you. And I want you to just breathe in and out slow as you move your hands side to side. all the way up. Come on. And all the way in front of you. Exhale. Okay? So bring it all the way up and all the way back. Maybe you bend the elbows a little bit, and just go ahead and bring the arms back. Exhale. Okay? All the way up and all the way down. Notice my exhales are on the way down, my inhales are on the way up. All the way up, inhale. All the way back, exhale. Longer towel is going to allow you to go a little further with these. Now, I'm saying keep bent elbows today because everybody's mobility in the shoulders is not going to allow them to extend the arms out wide and do that. So start off with bent elbows, see how you feel. Last one, bring it up, inhale, bring it down, exhale. While you're doing this, I want you to really be scanning your shoulders, okay? All right, remember I said it could feel like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. So what we want to do is exactly examine just that. How is there any heaviness? Is there any tension? Is there any pain in our shoulders? Right? We're going to lower it down. Okay? You're going to reach your arms all the way out wide. Okay? Your thumbs are straight up. Okay? Good. Extend the arms all the way out. Scan your entire arm. Close your eyes. Scan your shoulders. Let the shoulders draw away from your ears. Okay? Keep the body upright. Okay? Grounded in your seat. Take a big breath in. And a full breath out of your mouth. One more. Breathe in. And a full breath out. Last one, inhale, and breathe out. Bring the arms on down, good. And then we're gonna just circle the shoulders up and around. And so, like I told you all, we're gonna do another practice on my wellness page at Coma Bloom Wellness. So follow me over there for the rest of this practice. I'm gonna do upper body here and lower body there. Inhale up, exhale down. Up, shoulders up, exhale down. For the purpose of today, keeping it really easy, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Try not to let your air get trapped in your throat, okay? Try to allow it to flow all the way through your body, okay? As far past the chest as it can go. Bugs out here with me. And we're going to roll the shoulders forward and down. Inhale, exhale. Last one. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and stretch the legs out because you've been here for a while. Okay. Stretch them out, okay? And if you actually want to take a full-on stretch, you can. All right, just bringing the legs stretched out and reaching forward toward your feet, tummy down toward your thighs, and then your head and neck to follow, going down toward the knees. Slight bend in your knees if you need to, okay? Take a big breath in and a full breath out. One more deep breath in and a full breath out. And then roll your body up slowly as possible. Notice if your urge is to always move fast. And I want you to give yourself permission to slow down today. Slow down and feel. Slow down and examine your thoughts. Okay? And so we're going to do a little bit of breathing. Okay? So you can sit in a meditative seat, move the fleshy parts of your bottom, okay? Bring your legs in. Now, if it's hard for you to sit cross legs, I want you to just uncross and then bring your legs out and maybe slight bend in your knees, okay? So just like that is fine, okay? Or straight out, all right? I want you to be comfortable today, but don't slouch. Can we lift that heart? Open those shoulders and be here with the chin parallel to the floor, Okay? So let's practice that today. Remember I said Leo season all about confidence. Tell us something about a lot about people, about how their shoulders are, how they sit. Even yourself, how are you sitting? Do you slump? Are your shoulders over instead of open, right? Is your heart open, right? Open shoulders, open heart. So palms are going to face up into your lap. Close your eyes, and we're going to do a little bit of breathing together, okay? So for today, I want you to, a friend of mine shared, shout out to XP, shared with me something called healing sounds. And so we're going to do a breath today for the heart. It's Leo season, it's summer, okay? It's a great time to focus on our hearts. It's all about the heart right now, okay? And a lot of times when we are disconnected from our heart, a remedy to that is really accessible, that you have all your own, is to touch your heart, okay? And you may notice in a lot of my pictures or some things I do, I touch my heart often, particularly on my other page. So right or left hand onto the heart and the opposite hand on top, wherever you feel you need to be today, okay? And then you're going to bow your head down over your heart. We're not going to make this complicated, just super duper simple. Close your eyes and just allow yourself to feel your heartbeat. I want you to scan your body as you're feeling your heartbeat. So from head to toe scanning. Is there anywhere that I'm tensing up? Are there any parts of my body where I'm feeling some restriction? And how can I open up in this moment, or how can I let go of the need to control what's going on right now with my body and allow it to work for me organically? So take out the clenching of the face, the shoulders, anywhere that you're tightening up. Give yourself permission to open up. Only you can give yourself permission to open up, to loosen up. Mentally say that to yourself. I'm open to rest, relaxation, and restoration today and every day. I'm open to rest, relaxation, and restoration. And you're keeping the hand on the heart. If you feel distracted, you learn to mentally count the beat of your heart to keep you in focus, in full presence inside of you right now. While you are acknowledging your heart, I want you to acknowledge the natural flow of your breath as well. And then I want to introduce the breath to you. So you're going to breathe into your nose. You're going to pronounce H-A-W. A whisper at the back of your throat, okay? So breathing in through your nose. There's a train in my background. Try to challenge yourself, just as I'm going to challenge myself, to stay present in the midst of the outside noise around you. This is something we have to do in our everyday life. We have to keep our center, stay grounded, stay well, no matter what's happening around us. We exhale the ha, okay, whisper as you're exhaling. Really drawing that exhale out, really taking deep breaths in. We are allowing ourselves to release anything around the heart that is harming it. Okay? Jealousy, hurt, pain, toxic emotions, closed offness. Relax your breath. Bring your hands down into your lap. Relax the shoulders, relax the head and the neck. Maybe just kind of move them side to side, keeping the eyes closed, or either focus on a space in your room, wherever you are. Okay? Focus on the tip of your nose. Just kind of move the head slightly side to side, checking with your neck. Maybe start to make some little circles around. And I want you to come back to your breath, okay? Slow, deep breaths. And when your chin comes to your chest, you're going to reverse your circles to the opposite direction. You're going to let your chin just dwindle down over your chest. You're going to take your chin to the sky, inhale, and your chin towards your chest, exhale. Inhale up, exhale in. You're going to open your arms nice and wide, inhale. When we talk about loving ourselves, we got to learn how to hold ourselves up, hold ourselves accountable. Guys, your health is your wealth. Please hug yourself. Just like you're building outside wealth, you got to build inside wealth. Nobody's going to give you that. Come in, hug, rest on one shoulder. Feel your embrace today. Go into this season loving yourself unconditionally by practicing self-care beyond the surface as well as on the surface. Head center, open up, and hug the other side. Head down, hands down, prayer. Bow your head down over your heart. Please thank yourself for tuning into this live. I do hope you got whatever message is needed for you in this moment. Sending you all much love. Remember to celebrate all your winnings, perceived big and small. You are worth it. Have a beautiful Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. And of course, this will be up on my page for replay. So grateful you tuned in. Looking forward to more of these. Have an amazing Sunday and beyond. Thank you for joining, my friend.